What do veterans waste the most time on when it comes to filing their claims that they should be taking action on other things? That I got to have this. I got to have that. Go ahead.
I don't know if I'll answer this right, but like a lot of the time that they waste is like, you know how I told you that there are 3 different elements for service connection?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes veterans will focus on one of those elements exclusively, and they get so fixated on it that they forget that they need the other 2.
Right.
And that's kind of what we're talking about a lot of the times where I feel like people waste their time is because, and this is what prompted me, that's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, because somebody will come into it going, look, I had my knee injury in service and 20 years later I've got a knee injury now. That should be, that should be pretty cut and dry. But the short form narratives don't explain to the veterans why they were denied. So then they get fixated and start going, but I have a current diagnosis of it.
Can you request the long form narrative? Can that be requested?
It can be, but it doesn't have to be honored. Like it's something that you can request, but that's my biggest thing with Doug Collins. If he was to make one big change that would make everyone's life better. It just would. It would make everyone's life better, is to require the long form narrative on every single denial. Fully explaining what evidence was missing, what it would take to grant, why we didn't consider that evidence to be sufficient, like all those things, like the full explanation, not just a medical opinion, but from the legal standpoint.
Okay. Now, which one of these do people get? And we can close on this one here, and I'm going to let you have the last word after this. Which one of these situations that veterans drop the ball on, or they have the hardest time proving their claim, when it comes to the medical diagnosis, getting that service connection evidence together, or when they in the exam, the measure of the severity level, expressing properly to the medical professional what the situation is?
So the measuring the severity level is typically not a problem.
Okay.
It's typically the medical nexus. It honestly is. It's the medical nexus as to trying to convince somebody, like the longer the span of time is between the injury and the current disability, and if there's a gap in treatment, that's the biggest one. Like, how do you fill a gap? You can't go back in time and you can't get treatment where there wasn't any treatment, right? Or if you have STRs, like service treatment records, I don't know. I'm going to go, if you just give me these 3 topics, the medical nexus is the hardest one. The diagnosis isn't hard. You either have it or you don't. You can't finagle that. But there is something inherently frustrating about having the diagnosis, having the severity of symptoms, and not being service connected. You got it. I had an injury in service. I've got a knee injury now. I'm freaking out about it. Why won't you, like, what am I missing? Mr. or Mrs. Rader, what am I missing? Why can't you grant me? And that's the biggest unknown. And that's where veterans' minds wander, and they start going on YouTube and they start getting bad advice. And then the bad advice then comes with, hey, pay for this bad advice. And
wow.
Like where sometimes you'll get, well, I mean, some people pay with it with their time, or they actually do pay money for it. They'll, I mean, some advice is good, but you should be able to do this on your own. And that's the goal of my channel, is to help people to understand how to do the process, so that way they can hopefully do it on their own, and they don't have to, yes, they've got to watch an ad every once in a while. And I know that this makes John Michael so mad, but